Awesome. Hi. How's
Hey,
it going?
Joe. Doing good.
Cool. Glad we can make this work. I'm up in Toronto for the festival, and it's just like there is no time for anything.
I bet. Yeah.
I'm staring at my lunch, and I'm just like, I
You
may
can.
get to eat it.
I won't hold it against you if you
No,
want
no,
to.
no. Nobody needs to.
I've
Nobody
got a
needs to see me
little
eat.
bowl of berries here. We can
Yeah.
just call it brunch.
Nobody needs to see me eat. But yeah, no, it is. It's fun. It's interesting because I'm in New York usually, and this is my first time coming up, and I'm used to like the New York Film Festival, which or Tribeca, where you just kind of like sit in a room and they bring stuff to you. And this is okay. You got here, then here.
Yeah, it's like a scavenger challenge.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've become an expert at figuring out how long it takes to get places. I'm like, okay, I have six
right.
minutes to get here. I can do it in four and a half. All right,
Yeah,
let's do it.
just
Um,
running.
yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah.
Uh,
That's great. You can be up there then.
yeah. Congratulations on the film, by the way. This is actually why we're talking. Um, when when you see this script, I mean, obviously the story is really intriguing, and the language choice is something you probably feel comfortable enough to do. But what was the thing that made you go, I want to do this project? Because it's so easy to, I'm sure you get a lot of things, and a fair amount are probably not great or just not what you want to do, or just the same thing you've gotten. You're like, I've made The Guest. I don't need to make it 17 times. Like, how
Right.
do you pick a project, especially one as unique as this?
Yeah, yeah. It was unique. I think that was the first thing, and also I don't get a huge amount of German scripts
Hmm.
come my way, and if I ever do, I'm the only one who's reading them. My reps don't really speak German, and so if they've been given maybe a log line, but with this, there was very little accompanying it. It was just like, hey, we'd love Dan Stevens to read this. So yeah, got the dictionary out, went through it, and I was pretty sure that there was something very sweet and weird and charming and also deeply philosophical in a weird way. Like it was it was managing to be both whimsical and kind of silly
Yeah.
and also very philosophical. I thought, well, that's exactly what I like doing. Like that's really in my wheelhouse. I think just something that it manages to be both. And yeah, I mean, within a couple of pages, he's dancing the rumba, and I was like, well, I've never danced a rumba. You have my attention, and so it sort of went from there, really.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, I can imagine that type of script almost for any actor, but especially you catches your eye and you go, okay. And I've been and thinking of me for this is nice, because when you hear about like, oh, someone wants you for this, it's normally a bigger thing, and you're like, well, they want me because I look right, and hopefully I'm good at it. It's
Yeah, yeah. I never really, I don't often think about the scale of things. It's more, the kind of role, and I think, there are lots of sort of AI and Android kind of stories that have been and gone, and it's always interesting to see if somebody has a sort of fresh take on that genre, and you read the log line, oh, it's a woman falls in love with an android boyfriend. It's like, okay, well, how android? Like, what are we talking here? Is he covered in metal? Like, what are we? And I think very very quickly you get into the wit that is inherent in the screenplay and the sort of playfulness with which they were approaching that whole subject matter really. And so yeah, I mean that just came across right away, and I was like, oh, I think I'm on board here. This is fun.
totally, and it's I think the type of thing that's more interesting to see from you, because you hear about, oh, he should be James Bond. They're like, yeah, everyone wants to be James Bond. We were all little boys once, but it may not necessarily be as like intellectually fulfilling. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. And like, listen, if that's what you end up doing one day, I'm not going to be upset. But like, this kind of role is like, okay, I get to speak German, but I get to do it with a British accent. Like, there's a finite number of people who can do this in the exact way it calls for. I think I can do this.
This is true. The list, I think there's about five people on that list, and three of them were unavailable.
And you
So
killed
yeah.
the fourth. Anything to get the job. No, it's cool. And I think I love that the movie even gives like a little line to that. Because, I'm an idiot. I'm never gonna think about that. But as soon as they say it, you're like, oh, and that's such a cool point, because it is to the character that, it would be more, what does a human want to hear? to not hear a perfect accent, like just to hear like
Right.
it sounds like someone's second language.
Or you know, the idea that yeah, that you know, going through her algorithm, that they've calculated, you know, that yeah, that a guy with a British accent would kind of, you know, tick her boxes, sort of thing, in the same way that I'm trying to think, what's that animated movie where the mom keeps fantasizing about the helicopter pilot and he's like
Oh yeah,
Brazilian or something, you know, and it's
yeah,
like,
yeah,
I forget, is it the Mitchells versus the Machines?
yeah, exactly.
Okay,
From the Chair,
there you go. And yeah, so you know, keeps, so like her fantasy is a Brazilian helicopter pilot. Alma's is a British guy. You know, it's like.
I mean, listen, you've been alive for a handful of years. She's not the only one who has that particular quirk. So good on you. I'm jealous. I sound like a New Yorker, but you know, it's such an interesting role also because you get to play like fluctuating amounts of humanity. It never comes off robotic. Like you know, it almost kind of plays as if, you know, play a guy who doesn't understand, you know, like is out of time. Like I kind of thought of Blast from the Past, the Brendan Fraser movie, like always a
Right.
human being, but just like
Yeah.
the tuning is off yet because that's
Right.
part of the plot is you're tuning to her. It's
Yeah, and that's I think a wonderful kind of comic trope in a way. Like, you know, even if it's two people in the same time, you know, if one of them is off, if the tuning is off, it's like, are they going to find that harmony, or is it going to just remain on? You know, and it's like every screwball comedy, you know. But yeah, the sort of Blast from the Past, or you know, any sort of, you know, where it's like a caveman is
Encino
in
Man,
the
yeah.
modern world or whatever, you know.
Well, you play it really well because it almost like the look on his face when he doesn't quite get what's going on. It reminds me almost like a dog when they're just like, I don't have that in my file. Like the cock to the side of like, nope, the
Yeah.
Rolodex doesn't have that one. But always with this
Yeah.
like very pleasant look, which I think is the quirk of this, that he's designed, but also just the way you play him is very pleasant. And like this is not, you know, going to be the machine that rises up and takes over humanity. This is like
Right.
a very affable, like it's just weird that sci-fi for the better good in a way, and it's just kind of rare.
Yeah, it is. It is kind of rare. It is more, maybe more utopian. I don't know. Although, you know, this, I guess the dystopia in this film comes from humanity itself,
Yeah.
and not from not from the robot. You know, but yeah, it was always about, you know, at every I don't know what they call it in programming. My programming vocabulary is not very extensive, but you know, where you come to a sort of junction where it's a decision has to be made.
Yeah.
And, you know, something happens, this is not working with Alma, and the human response might be to get annoyed or to clap back at her or something, you know, and just be like, hey, but what's going on? And all of that's erased. It's a totally different route that he takes of just kind of learning and recalibrating and improving, hopefully, and moving on. And that even takes Alma by surprise. It's like, oh, we're not going to have like a 2-day argument about this. It's just like, oh, okay, it's done. It's moving on, you know.
Totally. And before we run out of time, I'm sure everyone asked about it, but is it more of a challenge to do the role in German? Like you're confident enough to do the language, but I interviewed and I moderated Q&As with Mark Duplass for that movie Language Lessons, and he speaks Spanish in a lot of it. I was just always curious, like your brain thinks in a different language. So when
Yeah.
you're like translating, does it slow you down at all as an actor, just to be like, I'm working a little harder right
I think the work comes before you get there. I think it's, you know, whereas it's normally like you're learning lines, you're thinking about the scene, you're thinking about the character. It's like, I'm learning lines, I'm thinking about the character and all the rest. And, you know, my brain is having to kind of remember like what exactly I'm saying, you know, and exactly where that, because the German word order is strange. And so like the where that decision comes in the sentence, even though the sentiment might be the same,
now?
the word at which it happens, you know, might be a millisecond off either way. But it was great for a role where I had to like listen and learn and kind of, you know, be very, very attentive. It was perfect because I was actually so laser focused on what everyone was saying. Everyone was speaking German to me on and off set the whole summer. And so the whole time my ear was just, was really switched on. And I think that helped.
Yeah, that split second is real. Just like, That's what it is. Okay, I can go from
Yeah,
here.
what's his name?
That's
Oh,
awesome.
what is my
Yeah,
life?
yeah, but yeah, congratulations again on this. Like, I think it's a type of performance that I feel like once people understand exactly what went into it, it's like, oh, like shit, okay, cool. And I'm sure you just must feel like super satisfied by the end and go, I did it. Like, it must just feel good.
It was, you know, a lot of films are, they can be challenging in the making, but they're great ones to have done. And this was fun to do, but it was obviously a great challenge at the time, and it's fun to see it get out there. And yeah, I'm delighted it's up there this week.
Oh yeah, and I think it's playing here on the digital platform. Like, I think tomorrow. So like, I think the reviews are going to start hitting soon. So enjoy them because they're going to be very kind to you.
That's well, I hope so.
Yeah,
Thank you
I have a good feeling about that. But yeah, thank you for doing this. This was fun.
very much. So yeah, see you again.
Awesome. I hope so.
Enjoy Toronto.
I'm trying.